Shido is a total loser with absolutely no enthusiasm, almost always looking miserable. Shido even struggles to make eye contact with girls, until one day, he was forced to go on a date with an evil spirit to save the world. 3 decades ago, several super powerful magical girls suddenly attacked Earth, causing a major disaster that killed millions. After the chaos, they gave the world a brief break with a long enough commercial break. However, that peace didn't last long. Recently, these magical girls began attacking again, forcing Shido to learn the art of abridged to win their hearts. One morning, while Shido and his sister, Kotori, were having breakfast, Shido asked Kotori what she wanted to eat for lunch. Kotori replied that she really wanted to try the treats at the low-class restaurant at school. After arriving at the restaurant, Kotori reminded Shido that they had to meet there after school, no matter what, even if there was a spacequake. Meanwhile, 3 not-so-attractive girls noticed them from afar, wondering if the 2 siblings grew up in Alabama, because it seemed like they liked each other. After Kotori left, Shido was ambushed by Hiroto, the idiot, who kept bothering him. In class, as they talked, a white-haired girl suddenly called Shido's name, making him wonder who she was. The girl sat next to him, and Shido, still shocked, asked Hiroto who the girl was, who turned out to be Origami, a super genius. Origami kept staring at him throughout class, making Shido feel uncomfortable. A few hours later, the school bell rang, and Hiroto showed up excitedly to tell Shido that they should walk home together. However, Shido casually replied that he had other plans. Hiroto, thinking Shido's plans involved the girl, was immediately shocked when Shido revealed it was with his little sister. Suddenly, an alarm went off, echoing throughout the city, warning everyone about an incoming spacequake. Panic spread. People started running for shelter, while the city's technology kicked in to evacuate the residents. Shido began to panic as he searched for his sister, hoping Kotori wasn't foolish enough to stay at the restaurant waiting for him. Shido tried calling Kotori, but it didn't go through. When Shido checked the GPS to locate her, he realized just how reckless Kotori could be. Without thinking, Shido immediately ran down the street toward the restaurant. However, on his way, the spacequake suddenly hit, knocking him to the ground. As he struggled to get up, Shido noticed a beautiful girl dressed like an anime character standing calmly in the middle of the quake. Shido wondered what she was doing there. The girl suddenly grabbed her weapon, causing a massive shockwave behind her, which terrified Shido. She aimed her weapon at Shido, threatening to kill him. Thinking she had come to end him, Shido quickly explained that he had no intention of doing anything because he was completely powerless. Not long after, a group of female fighters launched an attack with missiles, but the mysterious girl easily blocked all of the attacks with her energy barrier. Then, she fought back, unleashing a power that left Shido in awe. After several exchanges of attacks, Shido realized that the girl he was fighting was Origami, and he began to wonder what was really happening. The fight continued, with both girls clashing weapons, releasing huge amounts of energy that snapped Shido into awareness. Shido suddenly woke up in the real world, seeing a depressed-looking woman named Rain checking on him. Rain introduced herself as an analysis officer, and asked where he was from. Shido replied that he was in Frax and Sky, feeling confused since he was brought there unconsciously. Right away, Shido asked about his sister, and Rain tried to calm him down, telling him not to worry. Rain then led him outside to meet someone who could answer his questions. Shido was shocked to realize that the person was his little sister. Shido was welcomed into the command center by Kotori, who immediately acted like her usual self, as if she were in charge. Shido started wondering if this was really his little sister. Kotori explained that the strange woman in the anime costume was a spirit from another world, who typically caused massive explosions every time she appeared on Earth, a phenomenon they called a spacequake, which stunned Shido. Kotori continued her explanation about the group of fighters attacking the spirit, known as AST, the anti-spirit team in Japan responsible for handling the situation and basically slaughtering the spirits. Shido quickly realized that this was why the girl was going to kill him. Finally, Kotori told Shido that there was another way to handle the situation, a way different from what AST did. Kotori said this was the time when Shido was truly needed, and that surprised him. Kotori also informed him that training would start the next day. Shido wondered what Kotori would do next. Then, Shido became curious as to why Kotori was outside during the emergency. Kotori casually replied, "Because I was looking for my useless but." Hearing that, Shido could only call her an idiot for believing her own nonsense. Kotori then told Shido that he was at the restaurant, and revealed the shocking fact that the Fraxinus airship was flying exactly 15,000 meters above the restaurant. Shido was even more shocked. The next day, Shido was called into a private room and introduced to a game software similar to Sims, which was supposed to help him train for the upcoming mission. Kotori grabbed the joystick and started showing him how to play. After the session, Shido met Origami to ask about the previous events, but Origami told him to forget everything. Origami then explained that she had a mission to Sky all the spirits, which made Shido even more curious. Origami calmly stated that she had lost her parents 5 years ago because of a spirit, and that shocked Shido. After that, Kotori and Rain began training Shido. He was told that they would teach him how to convince spirits to fall in love with him. To do so, they asked Shido to try some pickup lines on the first person he met, as a test to see how effective or ineffective he was. Shido was asked to flirt with his homeroom teacher, who had been pure for 29 years. However, Shido could only come up with ridiculous pickup lines with his undeveloped brain. Seeing this, Rain decided to help and gave him a few lines, which caused the homeroom teacher to reach a sudden peak of emotion. But Shido ran away before he got into any trouble. Shortly after, Shido accidentally bumped into Origami and fell, revealing that her armor was white. Kotori told him to weaken her knees, but his useless brain could only spout nonsense, disappointing her. Rain helped again, and finally, Shido awkwardly asked Origami on a date, even though he didn't really mean it. Shido confessed his feelings, and he was shocked when Origami agreed to go out with him. However, just as Shido tried to explain that it was just a joke, an alarm suddenly rang, warning everyone about an impending spacequake. Origami rushed off, ready to suit up and face the cursed spirit. Meanwhile, the spirit from the previous day reappeared and remained in the classroom, refusing to leave, which made it difficult for AST to attack. Kotori told Shido that only he could handle the situation and save everyone. She also added that Shido shouldn't worry about what to say because the experts on Fraxinus would guide him. Shido then stepped into the classroom, and as soon as he entered, he was greeted by a laser attack that, if he hadn't dodged, would have sent him to another world. Shido quickly tried to stay calm and asked who was attacking him. The expert committee helped Shido pick the best response to give to the spirit in front of him. However, Shido felt frustrated and almost erased the spirit from existence. Without hesitation, the spirit approached him, ready to send him to Nirvana with a powerful magic ball in her hand. The spirit asked, "Why do you want me dead?" But Shido quickly replied that he was just a student, and had no intention of hurting her. In an instant, the spirit realized that Shido was the idiot she had met on the field earlier. With that, she stopped her attack and asked, "So, what do you really want?" Shido explained that he had come to talk to her, and even though the spirit had ignored him, he wouldn't pass up the chance to have a conversation. Hearing this, the spirit immediately felt embarrassed and said that Shido was the first human to try to talk to her. Shido then asked for her name, and the spirit replied, "I don't know. I don't have a name yet." She even told Shido to give her a name of his choice. With a smile, Shido named her Tuka, meaning the 10th, because they first met on the 10th of the month. Tuka liked the name, and the atmosphere between them became warmer. The AST started firing at Tuka, but she quickly created a barrier that blocked all the bullets and then told Shido to leave so he wouldn't get hit. However, Shido refused, insisting that he would stay there to talk to her. Eventually, Tuka sat down with him, holding a barrier over them, protecting them both from the large fire happening around them. As they were deep in conversation, Kotori told Shido to make a move. Confused, Shido responded, and Tuka began to wonder who he was talking to. Without hesitation, Tuka threatened to blow him up, thinking Shido was planning something evil. Unexpectedly, Tuka invited him on a date, following Kotori's instructions. However, Tuka had no idea what a date actually meant. Soon after, Origami appeared, rushing toward them, thinking that Tuka had taken Shido hostage. Tuka quickly activated her powerful weapon, Sandolphin, launching an attack that destroyed the entire area. Origami had to be carried away, injured. The next day, while Shido was looking at the ruins of the building, Tuka suddenly appeared behind him. Shido was surprised since there were no signs of a spacequake. Tuka told him that she had come because Shido had called her for a date. However, Shido explained that she couldn't wear her astral dress for the date and showed her a picture of Origami in her school uniform. Miraculously, Tuka changed her appearance to a school uniform as well. As they began their date, walking around the city, Tuka started devouring every bit of food she saw along the way. While biting into her meat, Tuka saw some white ice cream and got excited, saying she wanted to taste the same thing. Meanwhile, Origami was watching them, wondering why there was no spacequake this time when Tuka appeared. Shido became curious and asked Tuka where she went after disappearing the previous day. Tuka explained that every time she vanished, she went to a very dark place to sleep. When Shido asked if Tuka came to this world every time she woke up, Tuka replied that she felt it was something forced upon her to prevent her from sleeping. Tuka's attention was drawn to the human world at irregular intervals, and it was entirely beyond her control. Shido began to realize that these spacequakes weren't caused by the spirit's actions, but were just accidental occurrences. Shido wondered why it didn't happen today when Tuka appeared, but she refused to explain and instead said she wanted to meet again. Unfortunately, Shido was broke, so that meeting seemed unlikely. They quickly headed to a restaurant. Shido tried hard to stop Tuka from going in because he had no money left. However, Tuka insisted on checking out what was inside the restaurant. Suddenly, Hiroto appeared and saved Shido from bankruptcy by handing him some cash. After they entered the restaurant, Shido was surprised to see Rain there and immediately asked, "Why are you here?" Rain responded that they had found a way into this world. Meanwhile, as Shido sat with Tuka, he noticed her casually sneaking a glance at the menu. Not long after, Kotori also showed up and suggested that Tuka order an excessive special dish. Tuka immediately devoured the food greedily. Confused by everything, Shida asked Kotori what was really going on. Kotori replied that she was just trying to increase the chances of Tuka falling in love with him, considering that Shida had a face only a mother could love. Before leaving, Kotori gave Shida instructions to head south of the station after they finished eating. Shida followed Kotori's advice. On their way, the entire residential area suddenly transformed into a beautiful park, making the date even more enjoyable. Shida hoped he might feel love for the first time in his rather sad life. However, Shida didn't seem too excited about going there, so he decided to just spend time in the park instead. The date continued, with Tuka constantly stuffing every piece of meat she saw into her mouth. Meanwhile, Origami, who was still watching, suddenly changed into her mecha outfit, ready to attack Tuka. That night, Tuka felt a rush of excitement after the fun date. She expressed how happy she was to realize that not all humans wanted her dead, as she had previously thought. "Now I understand why the mecha team is chasing me," she said. "Every time I come to this world, I destroy something truly beautiful." However, feelings of rejection began to overwhelm her. "Maybe I don't belong in this world," Tuka said with a sigh. She asked Shidu, "Are we not part of this world?" Shidu tried to reassure her that there wouldn't be any spacequakes this time. "It was just luck," he replied. "Who knows what will happen the next time you come?" Shidu then asked Tuka to stay in this world and promised to teach her everything about it. "The mecha team and others don't want someone dangerous like you among them," he said. However, Shidu reassured Tuka that he would accept her, no matter how much others rejected her. This surprised Tuka, and Shidu asked her to hold his hand. But just as Shidu tried to take Tuka's hand, Origami, who had been aiming, appeared. Panicking after shooting Shidu, Origami watched as Tuka immediately summoned her astral dress and brought out Sandalphon, launching a massive attack toward Origami. Meanwhile, the spatial axis shut down, and the crew aboard Fraxinus started to worry about the citizens who hadn't been evacuated. However, Kotori was more concerned about Tuka. When her subordinates asked about Shidu, Kotori told them to keep working, assuring them that Shidu wouldn't give up that easily. Suddenly, Shidu's gunshot wound began to glow, and he came back to life, shocking everyone. Kotori immediately ordered a rescue. Meanwhile, Tuka unleashed a massive wave of energy at Origami, determined to ice-sky her. Origami felt discomfort, realizing she wasn't any different from the spirit that took her parents 5 years ago. As Tuka prepared to deliver the final blow, Origami confessed her sins and said her last prayer. However, suddenly, Shidu fell from the sky. Upon seeing him, Tuka immediately caught and embraced him. Her weapon was damaged from her earlier explosion of anger. They were confused about what to do to prevent the city's destruction. In that tense moment, Kotori told Shidu to kiss her, and Shidu quickly did so. In an instant, all of Origami's wicked plans dissipated as they returned to the ground. After everything, Tuka asked Shidu if he would take her on another date. Shidu agreed, even though he was still completely broke. A few days later, as Shidu was coming home from school, Kotori told him to go back to the city, but Shidu didn't go with her. He didn't return to school, trying to avoid the sudden rain that had started falling. Shidu wondered why the weather forecast had been so wrong lately when it was supposed to be rain-free. On his way, Shidu saw a young girl named Yoshino who had fallen while playing in the rain. He tried to take care of her, but Yoshino quickly kept her distance and begged him not to hurt her, surprising Shidu. The next day, on his way home from school and wondering why it was raining again despite the forecast saying otherwise, Shidu stopped at the spot where he had met Yoshino the day before. After thinking about Yoshino and her little doll for a moment, Shidu ran home. Once he got home, Shidu took off his armor and headed straight for the bathroom. There, he accidentally caught a clear glimpse of Tuka's plan. After that, Shidu went to ask Kotori what Tuka was doing in their house. Kotori explained that Tuka had decided to stay with them. Rain added that after Shidu kissed her, Kotori sealed Tuka's spirit powers, which created an invisible bond between them. Shidu was curious why that had happened, but Kotori admitted she didn't know because that information was only obtained from an analysis at Rat at Holster. Rain also mentioned that every time Tuka's mental state became unstable, there was a possibility that the story's course would change. However, there was a chance that the sealed powers within Tuka could return, and since she seemed more comfortable around Shidu, it was better for her to stay there until a special house for spirits was built. Kotori added that this was a chance for Shidu to learn how to attract more girls. This made him wonder why he still needed training when Kotori had already sealed Tuka's powers. After all that, Kotori began setting up a lot of traps for Shidu so that he could be naughty with Tuka, all for the sake of training. The next day, as Tuka and Origami were fighting for Shidu's attention as usual, the alarm for the outer space earthquake suddenly blared loudly. In an instant, everyone started running from the building to a safer place, while Origami immediately prepared to fight. On the other hand, Rain told Shidu that they had to leave Tuka behind because she was now pretty much useless. Her powers had been sealed, and it was best not to involve her in the battle between spirits and AST. Shida handed Tuka over to the homeroom teacher and rushed to Fraxinus to analyze the situation. Not long after, Rain discovered that the spirit being attacked was the same girl Shida had seen a few days ago on his way home from school. Without hesitation, Shida decided to save her and immediately prepared for a rescue mission. Shida entered the building where Yoshino was hiding from the AST attacks. Yoshino appeared confidently, though she didn't say much, as her little doll spoke for her. This made Shida wonder why Yoshino let that seemingly useless doll do the talking. However, Ratatouille Skirt quickly warned him that Yoshino's mood was rapidly declining and urged him to lift her spirits. Trying to lighten the mood, Shida asked her out on a date, but Yoshino misunderstood and thought Shida was talking about the calendar. Meanwhile, Tuka realized it was dangerous out there and felt frustrated talking to a bunch of idiots who couldn't keep their mouths shut. She immediately set off to find Shida. Yoshino, who was standing on a tall structure practicing acrobatics, suddenly slipped and fell towards Shido, landing on him and kissing him. Seeing this, Tuka, who was standing not far away, immediately got angry and asked Shido if this was what he was doing here. Shido fell silent, feeling caught red-handed. Then, Kotori informed Shida that Tuka's powers had returned to her. Her emotions began to rise, and Tuka started chattering like a chatty housewife. The little dolls joined in, criticizing Shido, saying he was a nuisance, and that he must be bored with Tuka, which is why he was moving on to another girl. Tuka couldn't take it anymore and grabbed the doll's neck, intending to silence it forever. When Yoshino approached and tried to take back her doll, Tuka insisted on not letting go, asking Shida to choose between her and Yoshino. Kotori immediately warned Shida that Yoshino's mental state was getting worse. Shida tried to ask Tuka to give the doll back, but that only made Tuka feel like Shida preferred Yoshino over her. Suddenly, Yoshino called upon Zagiel, the terrifying creature that controlled Frost, and began attacking them. However, Shida managed to save Tuka just in time. Yoshino jumped out of the building towards Zagiel and fled as AST started launching several attacks at her. Nevertheless, Yoshino managed to escape from that dangerous situation. Back in the building, Shida tried to touch Tuka, but she rejected him. Her expression showed that Tuka believed Shida liked Yoshino more. After that moment, Tuka continued to feel vulnerable and was reluctant to talk to Shida. Seeing this, Rain decided to visit her and give her a therapy session, trying to find out what was really going on.